Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley. I think I just spit. Sorry. A little excited already. Welcome back to the Tiege Hanley, starting a business, building a brand vlog. This one, big number 235. So there are a ton of business questions, and I am excited to get into them. Like I said in the last vlog, this vlog was going to be all about you and your questions. So we're going to dive into those. Just want to remind you guys, if you missed the video last week, where I talked a little bit about Amazon, but I also talked about, I showed you the little like video ad that Tiege Hanley had made. The feedback has been incredible. You guys really seem to dig that. It was very sort of appropriate for the situation. I guess that's all I'm gonna say for those of you who missed it. Guys, last week, go check it out. Also, I need to let you guys know about the video that our boy Josh at Tiege Hanley was skincare routine for men with dry skin. Dude, who doesn't have dry skin this time of year? Exactly. Gentlemen, if you missed the incredible video that we put out at Tiege Hanley that is all about dry skin and what do you do? What is the routine? How should you handle it? Guys, we're going to link to that down below. Josh works incredibly hard curating other influencers and other people, other experts in the skincare industry on YouTube to put together and develop some original content. The content has been just incredible, and I'm super proud of the work that Josh is putting in, really curating and crafting this content. And so guys, make sure to go watch the video down below, drop it one of these, and be like, yo, Josh, well done, good job. Now, your business questions, let's dive in. The first business question comes from our friend Casey Wilson, who is a young, aspiring entrepreneur who is about to kick some ass, apparently. Once he figures out what to do. Hold on, Casey, anyway, my question is, how do I know where to start? I'm presented with so many opportunities for potential businesses. I was trying to build a business selling on Amazon. Oh, you saw those ads at the beginning of videos like, oh, do this, sell this Sharpie on Amazon. Like, right? Be careful giving those people who are gonna teach you how to do that money. Just be careful is all I'm saying. And then the Corona hit, and now I can't. You still could, but it would be more challenging. You'd have to figure it out anyway. If you wanted to, you could. I've considered Shopify, Alli Express. There's so many pathways, and it's paralyzing for me to start. So basically, you say that there are so many pathways. You say that there are all these opportunities, but what you have just described is you want to basically get a product and then ship it, right? That's sort of your thing. Not your own product. You want to basically source other people's products, get them, and then sell them as your own on a different platform. That's what it sounds like to me. In terms of where to start, I would say you've got to commit. You've got to commit, you've got to make a decision. One of the hardest things that a lot of entrepreneurs face is analysis by paralysis. They are so busy sort of strategizing and analyzing different opportunities and looking, you've got to pick one, all right? Until you actually have a direction and you choose the path that you are going to take in terms of your entrepreneurial journey, you're never going to do anything. And so my recommendation is all of these, businesses and sort of opportunities for you to like get other people's products and sell them, that's great. Just pick a product and then do it. Don't keep talking. Don't keep thinking about it. Do it. And what's going to happen is you're either going to be successful or you're not. No big deal. It happens to all of us. But once you get some experience actually selling and starting that business, as opposed to thinking about it and analyzing, you're not going to ultimately figure out what works and what doesn't work. And for you to do that, you need to try different things. You need to screw it up. But you can't do that until you do it. So I guess my advice is pick one and see what happens, and then adjust and see what happens and adjust, and that's how you're going to ultimately figure it out. But be careful giving those people that are teaching you how to do that money, all right? You can figure anything out if you just Google it online. They're not selling you any secrets, all right? Nothing like that. Just want to throw that out there. The next business question comes from our friend Ice Cream Aisle 11. He says, Aaron, you're very charismatic and good at communicating with people, but I bet you weren't always that way. If you want proof of this, go watch my old videos. He says, especially because of the environment that you grew up in. How did you learn to open yourself up and feel comfortable being vulnerable when speaking with people? Now that is kind of the twist to this question. I have always, for the most part, been very open about myself and open with sharing sort of who I am. It hasn't been something where I've hid the fact that I've got emotions or that I have problems or that I have struggles. That's the one thing that I've always felt pretty comfortable talking about. So much so that when I was in high school, like a lot of people that, my friends that had problems, I was the guy that they would call. I don't know why, but actually I do know why. It was because I was comfortable talking about these things from a very young age. And I really feel like the reason for that is because I grew up with a mother who was very interested in encouraging my communication. Also, at the age of 3 years old, I was in therapy. Back in Philadelphia, we were on welfare, and my dad was going to school. My parents were young; they were like 19 or 20. And when you were on government assistance, one of the benefits was if you were a woman or a man, whatever, and you had a kid, and you were going through a divorce or separation, there was government-assisted therapy. And so from the age of like 3 years old, my mom had me in these therapy sessions just to try and deal with the fact that my parents were split up, and I would have to go over to my dad's house. It's funny. When I think about this, it's funny how like certain things, memories, like bring you back to a time. One of my earliest memories, actually there are two early memories from when I was young like this. The first memory was my earliest childhood memory, and this is kind of weird and sad at the same time. I remember getting up in the middle of the night, looking out into the living room and seeing a person standing there. And I got scared and I ran in and grabbed, and got under the covers of my mom's bed, right? That person was a robber. We were robbed like 20 times in Philadelphia back then. And so that was my earliest childhood memory. The other one was going to see my dad on the weekends. My parents were young. He was going to school. They split up. And I remember watching The Incredible Hulk at his house on a black and white TV. We didn't have any heat back then, and it was super cold. And those are my two earliest childhood memories. And so anyway, I know that wasn't the question, but I kind of went and hijacked that and went down memory lane a little bit. It's amazing. It's amazing thinking about, stuff like that. Anyway, in terms of my ability to communicate, I was not always a great presenter. I was not always great with communicating and expressing myself, but in terms of expressing myself emotionally, I was always very comfortable doing that. And so I guess I have always been comfortable, but it's because I was in therapy at 3 years old and raised by a woman. This next business question is totally over my head because it has to do with technology, and I am scared of technology, so I'm going to be absolutely no help. But let's roll the dice anyway. It comes from our friend If-O Hancroft. I'm sorry, I just butchered that. Anyway, he says brand versus company. This actually is a great question. He says, I'm working on developing my own mechanical keyboard that I want to eventually build a company around and sell. However, I'm generally interested in creating input devices such as mice, keyboards, controllers, etc. Eventually, I will want to create different keyboards and also start making mice and stuff like that. Sort of, I'm thinking like a Logitech sort of thing, right? They make mice, they make computers, they make cameras, they make like technology stuff for your computer. Should I make a company just around this one product and then another one and then the next one, or should I make them all basically one company for all of the devices, or different companies for the different devices? Also, what if I want to further expand in the future into other computer accessories? I feel like if I choose the name now, but it's revolving around a single product, it won't make sense to sell other products as the company, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in a nutshell, what I gathered from this is our friend wants to sell and is developing a keyboard, but he also is interested in later developing other products. But it all is revolving around sort of technology and computers and stuff like that. And so what I would do if I were you is not commit to just the keyboard, cool name, like if it was the Alpha keyboard or something like that, and build a brand around the Alpha keyboard. I would build the company, and then off of that you have just little subsets, right? These little independent products that you sort of build, but it's all under the umbrella of your amazing tech company, whatever it's called. That's what I would do, because it would be a pain in the ass to try and, and then you want to add more products. I mean, it just kind of, in my mind, makes sense to focus on the company and then have products under that. That's what most people do. And it's successful for a lot of people. And so I would say good luck. And you are definitely smarter than me. Well done. Next question comes from our friend Stephen Adcock. He says, "Hi, Aaron. I hope you're well. What books and other learning resources about entrepreneurship would you recommend for someone starting a new business? I'm in the beginnings of my first business, and I feel that I could use the extra knowledge. Thanks." Stephen, why do you want to talk about my biggest insecurity? Seriously, not kidding about this. So I'm going to tell you something that I've mentioned a few times before. I don't know if I've mentioned it on this vlog, but one of my biggest insecurities is that I don't like to read. I don't do it. I don't read. I can read, right? Like I can read, but I do not read for pleasure. I also do not read for information. Unfortunately, I used to be like super embarrassed about that, to the point of whenever I was being interviewed by like some of these like podcasters or like people that like do interviews of like, you know, YouTubers or entrepreneurs, they always ask you, right? They always ask you the question. They say, what's a book you'd recommend for other people that want to do X, Y, and Z? And I always used to lie. I used to lie and say, start with Why by Simon Sinek. And the reason is because I watched the TED Talk that he did, and I was like, oh my God, mind blown, and I love Simon. And then I watched all the rest of his TED Talks. And so in that, you just learn two things. Number one, I consume a lot of content through watching and listening. TED Talks I love, but in terms of business development, they're probably not going to be your best, most targeted resource. In terms of books, I don't like to read. So let me pull back. The reason why I think I don't like to read is because when I was growing up, I went to this weird school. It was a Quaker school called Plymouth Meeting Friends School in outside of Philadelphia, and it was the last school in the nation that taught you how to read by this form of phonics called ITA. And it was a super progressive school, and I might have told this story before here, but ultimately what happened was it taught you how to spell based on phonics as opposed to how things are actually spelled. And then in first grade, they switch you over and everybody's supposed to just automatically get it. Well, this works for like 99.9% of kids, but for people like me, it didn't work. And so spelling and reading and grammar has always been something that I have struggled with tremendously. And so I think that's the reason why I don't actively ever pick up a book in order to read or in order to learn. My wife, on the other hand, reads probably 2 books a week. She is always reading on her Kindle. Now, does this mean that I'm dumb? I used to think it did. I thought that this was something that, you know, made me dumb because I didn't like to read. And so I've come to realize that this is not how I learn best. For me, the way that I learn, I want to experience things. I want to try stuff. I need to figure it out, fail, and that's the way that I learn. But in terms of other options, like if you don't want to just figure it out and fail, like there are a lot of other incredible resources. The podcast that I talked about a few weeks ago that I'm going to be on, I think possibly this Friday, is called Mixergy. Mixergy, they have like 2,000 episodes, all from entrepreneurs. I love listening, and that's the thing. And that's why I was so excited when like Audible was a sponsor, because I started listening to like audiobooks and then Skillshare. I love like listening and being immersed that way. That's how I learn. But in terms of books, I'm definitely going to let you down. I don't know. I don't have any recommendations, and I'd be lying if I said, oh, just read this and that's going to help you. Antonio Centeno, one of my best friends, he is a voracious reader. And he is always like giving me books. And now he knows not to give me books because I end up not reading them. It used to be funny. He's like, oh, are you going to read this? I'm like, oh, yeah. And then he's like, hey, did you read it? I'm like, no. And then he figured out that I don't read. And so this is a perfect opportunity. Guys, if you are in the audience and you know of some incredible books, why don't you down below, why don't we start like a chain, right? If you've got a business book that you found value in, why don't you talk about the title of the book and then why you think it's a good book in terms of what did it teach you and how somebody else is going to gain value from that book. So down below, guys, if you have a business book, start it with business book title, and why it's good. Hopefully that can help. The next business question comes from our friend Mohammad Ali. He says, how do you manage multiple businesses as one guy? And the answer is pretty simple: to have really good people help you and amazing partners. let's just break down my businesses and I'll tell you who's like leading the charge. All right, so Menfluential Media, Terry, my best friend from high school, he is like the managing member of that business. And then he's got, Brian, who is his brother, another one of my great friends, and Tom. And so we've got people that kind of like handle that. And so I don't really have much day-to-day operation with that other than to talk to them about different brand deals and things of that nature. The other business is Tiege Hanley. And obviously I've got an incredible team. I don't do much in terms of day-to-day operations with Tiege. I'm more like high level in terms of my meetings. I have meetings with Rob and Kelly. I'm on conference calls on Fridays with the lead team. I am more of like a big picture guy there. They don't need me for the day-to-day, but I'm also, doing this vlog. I'm doing 2 promotional videos every month for Tiege. And so I'm still like kind of the mouthpiece and the marketing piece of Tiege, one of them. Akin, who we talked about last week, he is the other big piece, and Josh is a piece of that network and puzzle as well. And so Tiege, Kelly, and Rob, and all those guys up in Chicago, they do an incredible job, and it allows me to not have to worry about that because I know they are on it. Pete and Pedro, I got Mike Levy. He's the one that sort of handles the marketing direction of Pete and Pedro. I just need to basically say yes, no, pick products, and talk a little bit higher level with him as well. And typically I'll do that in the evening because he's now on West Coast. Enemy, I've got Ann Paul, who I brought on in order to help me sort of build out that business because I don't have time. I don't have the ability to, to basically like manage, like all these different businesses. Like I need to do what I do, which is, YouTube and creating content. And so that is my job. My main job is doing YouTube videos. And so, I'm just very fortunate that I have found some incredible people to help me with these businesses because I can't do all the things. I can't do them all well. Speaking of hiring, it's my designer for the new building project thing. Hey, Minuet. That was my designer for that building that you might have seen me talk about in one of my YouTube videos about being shut down and this old church that I bought. I'll tell you more about that later. I took the video down and made it unlisted because I was getting bombarded by people just like hammering me. I'm like, I probably shouldn't have talked about it until it's finished. And so my mistake. But what was not a mistake was hiring somebody to help me pick finishes and make it super sexy. I'm good at a lot of things, and I think this is a business lesson in this. There is a business lesson in this. I'm good at a lot of things. But picking the aesthetics in terms of the lighting fixtures, having it coordinate with the tile, the bathrooms, the fixtures, the colors, the everything, right? I wanted somebody, even furniture, right? I wanted it to look amazing. I'm spending, a good amount of money on this, and I don't want it to look all right. If I would pick everything, it would look all right. With her doing it, it's going to look she was showing me some stuff yesterday. Insane. I can't even believe that it's going to look this sexy, but you guys will actually be able to come and check it out if you want to, if you're in the Marietta area. But anyway, the business lesson is let the professionals be the professionals. That is the lesson, and she's a pro when it comes to this stuff. All right, I think the last business question we're going to get out of the way is from our friend Lord Kuma. He says, I use Home Advisor to acquire leads for my appliance repair business. I'm a one-man operation, but I would like to transition away from paying for leads to generate my own leads. Incredible. He says, what do you feel is the best way to accomplish this? I have a website, but for whatever reason, I'm having difficulty listing it on Google. It's on all the engines, but not Google, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so anyway, so 2 things here. You are good at what you do, which is repairing appliances, and that's incredible. Definitely a needed service. What you're not is a tech guy. And what I would recommend is spend a little bit of money to have somebody help you with this process of getting it listed and getting maybe some SEO, search engine optimization situations going on with your website. Obviously, something is not right. And it's worth the money, right? It's worth the investment to be listed there. Now, in terms of paying for leads from, Home Advisor, yeah, you know, the lead generation is going to be hard. What I would do if I were you would be to create content, some video. Maybe find somebody to help you make video. They don't have to be good. They just need to be up there on YouTube. YouTube is one of the most amazing like search engines that people use. And then what I would do is get very specific. Whatever the most like common thing that you're fixing or that people are having problems with, then I would basically create a video talking about what it is and how you fix it. And then give your information down below. Hey, call me, contact me. Also list your area. All right, so if you're in, say, Seattle, say, you know, how to replace a faulty plug in a dishwasher, and I'm just throwing that out there, you know, Seattle, do it yourself, DIY or whatever. You could even show them how to do it, or you could contact me. Like, that's the thing. Most people are lazy and are not going to want to actually fix the appliance themselves, but they're going to be searching for it. And if you do videos about that topic and title it, tag it in the tags down below when you upload a video, it'll ask you, you are going to automatically like jump from an SEO standpoint like super high. So if somebody is in Seattle and they're searching for how to fix a plug on a dishwasher, your video is going to show and you're going to start to populate super high. And so as long as you have your contact information in the description, also in the video say, hey, if you're in the Seattle area and you need some help, there's a link to my website down below, or give me a call at blah, 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 blah. That literally is the best way that you are organically going to start to generate leads, and you just start putting out content. They don't have to be good. You could even shoot them on your phone talking about it. But whatever the most common issues are that people are calling you the most about, that is what the video should be. Make sure that you're listing where you live, and that is going to help you automatically start to generate more clients without having to pay. And that is where we're gonna wrap things up. Gentlemen, if I did not get to your question in next vlog, this vlog, just start with business question and ask it. I'll make sure to try and get to more of your business questions last week. Sometimes I get to be a little long-winded, especially when I go down poor little alpha memory lane. Gentlemen, we love you more than our double monk strap shoes at Tiege Hanley. Remember, gentlemen, be safe. This hopefully will be over soon, but just take care of yourself, right? We can do this together because we are strong. We are a community. We are Tiege Hanley, and you are amazing.